What if video games and TV shows aren't actually the problem? I know that sounds strange, but because for years we've been told the opposite, that gaming wastes your time, that watching TV makes you lazy, and that if you really want to succeed in life, you should basically avoid all of it at all costs. But the more I thought about it, the more something didn't add up. Because millions of people still tune in to TV shows or streaming platforms for nowadays, and millions of people still play games that are still releasing currently, like the new Resident Evil game. And somehow, if you think about it, does that mean everyone and each of them are lazy and unproductive, who have no direction in their lives? It's kind of stupid to think so. So, I still believe that some of those same people still manage to build great careers, stay healthy, and live meaningful lives without neglecting entertainment. So maybe the real problem isn't about video games, and maybe it isn't about TV shows either. If you spend enough time on the internet long enough, like me, chronically being online, you start to believe something really, really unrealistic. You start to imagine that every successful entrepreneur or successful individual wakes up in the morning at 5 a.m. or God knows how crazy, whatever crazy hour it is in the morning where the sun doesn't shine. They read their book immediately after washing their face. They meditate for an hour, and they stay away from video games as if it's an epidemic. But I like to think that successful people still need to relax. They still need to enjoy entertainment. They still watch shows and play games. So the question is, what's the difference? It's a fly. So I dive deep into this topic a little bit more, and I realized something really, really interesting, because every generation seems to believe that the next generation's entertainment is destroying society. Back in the 1950s, people thought that comic books were corrupting kids. Then television became the big problem, and then later on it was video games. And today, there's still people that are debating whether games like Grand Theft Auto is ruining the minds of the young people. But here is the strange thing. Those same forms of entertainment eventually become completely normal, which makes you wonder, maybe entertainment itself was never the real problem. Because think about it, humans have always loved stories and games. Long before streaming platforms existed, TV shows, blah, blah, or the whole internet, people gathered around fires telling stories, they watched theater, and they played games like hopscotch, snakes and ladders, board games, whatever. All sorts of games, hide and seek, catching. So entertainment has always been part of being human. But I think the real difference today is something else. We almost never experience boredom anymore. Yes, the word boredom. Let it sit. The moment we feel a little bored, what do? We open YouTube, Netflix, play some sort of games, or just doom scroll social media. And that tiny moment where our mind will normally wander disappears instantly. But did you know that boredom actually serves a purpose? Some of the best ideas people have is when they are bored. When you're walking somewhere, staring out the window, or just sitting quietly with your thoughts. That's why there's a lot of videos nowadays saying stop consuming and start creating. But it is understandably hard for some people after a long day at work, mentally draining. They just want to sit down and rot. Or maybe when you have a very bad day, work, or bad weeks, bad months at work, a micromanaging boss, and your whole mood is just deep down to the lowest of low, and entertainment fills those gaps to make you happy again. So yeah, that's the only time I can think of if someone is unable to use those gaps of time to do something more productive. Which is fine. Nothing wrong with that. But modern entertainment nowadays is designed to never stop. What happens after you watch an episode on TV? Autoplay plays the next episode, streaming platforms recommend something new immediately, and games are built to keep you playing just a little longer, like they've always been. And before you know it, 3 hours disappear, and I think most of us had that moment before. You say, okay, just one more episode, or one more campaign, and suddenly it's 2 a.m. in the morning. Or you start a game thinking you play half an hour, and somehow the entire evening disappears. I have definitely been there, and because I really love games, video games, and TV shows, because I love everything about storytelling and just bonding with friends. Nothing wrong with that. But think of video games and TV shows as dessert. So it can be a cake or something that you really like, mochi ice cream, whatever. So this dessert isn't necessarily evil. Okay, having dessert after a good meal is great. It's supposed to make you feel happy. It's relaxing and it makes life a little bit more sweeter. Okay, but if the dessert is the only thing and the main thing that you consume every single day, that's where the problem starts. And entertainment works the same way. There's nothing wrong with watching a show after a productive day because that's essentially resting. A good reward after producing what sorts of things that you want to produce. And playing games with friends on the weekends. Again, there's nothing wrong with fun, bonding with friends. But watching episode after episode because you're avoiding the things you should be doing, or playing games for hours because real life feels overwhelming, that's where it's not really relaxation anymore. It's more of escapism. And I think that's where the real problem begins. So I feel like the most productive people in the world don't really completely avoid entertainment. They still have opportunities to relax and they still enjoy stories in many forms. They still play games. But the difference is they don't let entertainment quietly take over their time. They're able to choose when to relax instead of relaxing by accident. For example, I still enjoy TV shows and games on the weekends or maybe times throughout the day if I'm free when I have nothing to do and I need a bit of like a mood boost. Okay, but I can't possibly be gaming from 7 p.m. to sunrise just like I did when I had school holidays back then because I have to go to work the next day. Times were different back then, but it doesn't mean you have to neglect it now. Okay, can't possibly do that and ruin my next day. I can still reap the benefits of entertainment, but I just have to accept the fact that times are different. So when you think about video games and TV shows again, just think of this dessert analogy because there's nothing wrong with enjoying them. But just like dessert, the problem only begins when it becomes the main thing you consume. And the question isn't about whether video games and TV shows are bad for you. The real question you should be asking is, are you choosing them or are they choosing how you spend your life? Hey guys, thanks for sticking to the end of this video. If you enjoy these types of videos where I reflect on questions that you might relate to, and instead of just pondering mindlessly and endlessly to the abyss, we talk about ways that we can channel those thoughts into something more purposeful and hopefully live a happier ending. So, yeah, subscribe.